Welcome back to the channel, guys. Hey, just before we took that trip up to Idaho and hung out at the cabin, did all that stuff not too long ago, we purchased this electric cooler, Dometic electric cooler. It's a CF-50 model. Got a pretty good deal on it, and you can still get them. I know the newer ones have a lot more, bells and whistles and stuff, but I believe they still make this one. But it was something that Mrs. D and I had talked about purchasing for quite a long time, or something like this. And it's become way more useful than I could ever have thought. We have a 12-volt power outlet in the back of the Sequoia, and so when we went on our road trip, we just plugged it in there. And when the car's running, and actually we're probably about 10 or 15 minutes after you turn it off, the thing stays on. I need to do some modifications to the circuitry, maybe I think there's a fuse bypass thing on here that I can leave that on permanently. I just have it sitting in here. There's no mounts or anything fancy. I know a lot of the Overlander guys will put rails on there and you can slide it out there. There's a little area where there's the pump and that takes up some space, but for the most part it's all usable, and so you can pack this thing completely full. Just the other day we went down to the meat market to get a little bit of a surplus of meat supply, and so we turned this thing on to really cold mode. It goes down to 0, and then of course you can throw the meat in there, and if you have to run some other errands or whatever, you can keep it cold in here, and it's just like having a refrigerator in your car. So it's really been a game changer for us, and currently it sits inside the house, and we shop for groceries once every 2 weeks, and then we just use this as an overflow refrigerator. So it's worked out really well, and we use this way more than I ever thought we would. So also, when we were up at the cabin, we would stay at my in-laws' place and go up to the cabin to work. So we would just use this thing, load it up at the beginning of the day with cold drinks and food and lunch and everything, and it's going to be cold when you get there. So it's really nice not to have that soggy, melted ice sandwich thing happening. You know what I'm talking about, where you get there and it was sitting inside a pool of melted ice, and that's not good, and then you have to drain it and everything. It's just been really cool. We still have our third row seats tilted up in a Sequoia. So Sequoias have quite a bit of room back here, but you can kind of get an idea of how wide this thing is. Right here, it's about the size of a large, Coleman cooler. So if you kind of have that in your mind, maybe a little taller, but it fits almost perfectly right here. So we're going to get into some of the details now of the Dometic CF-50. If you like this content, hit like, share, subscribe, do all that kind of stuff. It really helps out the channel. We've seen a little bit of an uptick in the channel growth recently, so we're really appreciative of that, of course. So make sure you hit that thumbs up, subscribe, that's the main thing. And yeah, let us know in the comments if you like these kinds of reviews. I don't mind doing them, sharing the stuff that's worked for us, and this has been a really good product so far. Alright, so the controls on the Dometic CF-50 are pretty simple. You're on and off. Hold it down, turns it off. Hold it down, turns it back on. To set the temperature, push set. Now right here, you up and down, very simple, goes up by 2-degree increments. Right now we are set to 29. Let's set it to 27. And then if you want to go into the next menu, it's Fahrenheit or Celsius. You can obviously change that. And then you go into your next menu, and this is low, medium, high. Low, high, medium. I have it on medium. What this does is that this determines how far it's going to discharge your battery in whatever car or system you have. And so you have to look at the manual to see what you're comfortable with and what your car can handle. And so I usually have it about medium, but do your own research on that. That's all there really is for the controls. It's very, very simple. And now we're going to look inside of it to see how much it can hold. So one of the hardest things that I found about looking at refrigerator type stuff online is I couldn't tell how big they were, how much they could actually hold. So I'm going to show you kind of an example of what this thing can actually, what it can hold in real life. So the main thing we've been using this refrigerator for during this quarantine thing is we can buy extra food. We can go to the store and buy 2 weeks plus worth of food and milk, and usually milk takes up a ton of space in the main refrigerator, but we found that we can just store a couple gallons in here. I'll show you what that looks like. Extra cheese, buy extra stuff, some vegetables. Now this side, it has a light in here, an LED light, which is really handy at night. It's great. And this side is more of the crisper side, so it's not going to get quite as cold. So if you want to store your butters in there, maybe cheese, some extra snacks, vegetables, that kind of stuff. So pile that stuff in there. Down at the very bottom here is where it gets the most cold. And so if you're really clever, you can have the bottom almost freeze, and then up top it's kind of a refrigerator. So I know that there's guys who have that all figured out. I don't. I just use it as a refrigerator. But you can see, you get a dozen eggs in here, no problem. Obviously a bunch of cheese on that side. And again, this is like bulk stuff, so we're not set up to camp, but you get an idea. A couple things of macaroni salad over here piled in there, and the main thing is, here's where I can really tell how big it is. Like, you got, you know, 2 full gallons of milk, and then you could actually stuff in probably 3 or 4 more half gallons and tuck them in there. So you can get, and we have a full thing of juice here fitting in there pretty easily. Some, you know, some salad dressing, a big block of extra cheese, and that type of thing. So, and we're not even full yet. I mean, this is not packed. We've been using this food as we go, and we're nowhere. As you can see, there's a whole bunch of air in there. And oh yeah, the other thing I was going to show you is this. So let's say you don't have this quite full and you want to divide it up. It comes with a really nice little divider system. Just leave that in there, so you can put your divide things up. But if you have 2 gallons of milk, it's not going to fit. So we just tuck that in right here, no problem. Put our 2 gallons in there, and we're good to go. Thanks, Ellie.
Welcome.
Spill the eggs. Perfect. So we can just get that in there. As you can see, we're not packing this tight, but you can kind of get a sense for how big the 50 quart is. Right here, this whole thing, if you want, can come out. It's really heavy because I got 2 gallons in there, but you can pull this whole container out of there and get to everything. So it's a really well set up refrigerator, I think. And so, you know, as you can see, there's plenty, and you can stack this thing all the way to the top. Pretty amazing. So I've been pretty impressed with the actual size capability that this provides. Another thing that's pretty handy about this refrigerator, but I'm a little mixed on it. It does really work as it's intended, but there's some downside. So obviously it opens up from this side. If you have a car or something that you want to change directions, you can open this up part way and then pull on it. The top will come off, and you can flip it to this side. It goes in. Now, this is okay, and this actually works pretty good for the most part, but I've noticed that these right here, as you can see right there, those are very weak. That's a weak spot right there. So if you're not careful, what you can accidentally do, and if kids come along, we've noticed our kids come along here, you know, they grab a drink out of it and they slam the thing shut. And if you're not careful when you open this up like this, what can happen is it can rotate kind of this halfway position like that, like right there. You can see that it's off a little bit, and so it's not completely seated, and so either it won't close all the way, or you could end up breaking something. So you just have to make sure that when you're in this range right here, you have to kind of, I tend to just lift up on that latch and close it instead of just slam it, because you can break those off. And I know some people put screws in there to hold it. I don't know. I've heard more than one reviewer, or you know, I've read some of these reviews where they'll break those tabs off and they'll sell you another lid, but you know, it's a hassle, and then you're out of commission for a while. There is not much insulative value to this lid, so far as I can tell. I mean, there's a little bit. It has some insulating qualities, but it's not very thick. I wish it was a little thicker for insulation. The outside seemed to be just fine. So yeah, just be aware of that. Don't get too crazy with that. That's kind of a downside with this, is the hinging system. So that's pretty much it. You got your little cup holders here, and again, there's nothing fancy about this one. There's no Wi-Fi or GPS or, you know, all these funky digital things to go wrong. It's just basic controls, pump, and refrigerator. One thing to also note, when we were shopping for this refrigerator, I didn't know if it came from the factory with carry handles, and these do come in the kit, and you have the option of taking them off. But this is a metal handle with some pretty strong plastic braces on it, and you know, they thread into the side. But if you need this to save the space, like you have this in an RV or something like that, permanently mounted, you can take these off and save a few inches on either side. So just be aware that they do come in the kit with this refrigerator. All right, that is my review of the Dometic CF-50 electric cooler, dual power. I hope you guys like it. Leave a comment in the comments if you want to see more videos like this. Also, if you guys have found other solutions for keeping your food cool on the road, and other tips and tricks that you guys have been using to work on your preparedness situation in this pandemic. We know that this has come in really handy for us personally, and we use this every day now. So yeah, we've really enjoyed it, and we hope you guys are doing well, and we will see you on the next one. See you soon.